boys and girls. Hope you're doing special on this wonderfully sunny day here in Bethlehem. My name is Ingrid Bohn, and I am a storyteller. I want to talk to you about being kind. Because you know what? Being kind is cool. I love being kind. It spreads sunshine into the lives of other people everywhere you go. Be kind whenever possible and see how it makes you feel. The story I'm going to tell you today is called The Old Woman Who Lived in a Vinegar Bottle. And it comes from this book here, Stories for 6-Year-Olds and Other Young Readers. I am wearing a mask today because it helps me to be safe and it helps the people around me to be safe. But because it's quite hard to tell with the mask on, I'm going to be taking it off. And I am going to be standing up to tell you my story. The Old Woman Who Lived in a Vinegar Bottle. Once there was an old woman who lived in a vinegar bottle. A vinegar bottle, you ask? A vinegar bottle, I say. And she had all the comforts of home. She had a little ladder where she could go out of the bottle and back into the bottle. She had lived there for quite a long time. But then she started to grow unhappy and no longer wanted to live in her vinegar bottle. One day she started to complain. Grumble, 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 grumble. At that specific time, there was a fairy who was flying by and heard all of that noise. And she heard, grumble, grumble, oh, 'tis a shame, 'tis a shame. I should not live in a vinegar bottle. Oh no, I should live in a nice yellow cottage like other people do, with pink curtains at the windows and roses growing up one side of the house and honeysuckle growing up the other side of the house. When I look out my window, there were to be a vegetable garden and a flower garden and maybe a pink little piggy in the yard. Oh, 'tis a shame. Well, the fairy felt bad for the old woman and decided to help. Don't you worry, here's what we'll do. Before you go to bed tonight, turn around 1, 2, 3 times. And when you wake up, you'll see what you'll see. Well, that night, the old woman turned around 1, 2, 3 times. And when she woke up, she was in the cutest little bed that had a yellow cover on her and a window with pink curtains. Oh my goodness, she jumped out of bed, she ran over to the window, she opened the curtains and she could smell the roses on this side of the house. Oh, and the honeysuckle. Oh, on this side of the house. And as she looked out into her yard, flowers of every color in this garden, vegetables of every color in that garden, and did she hear that pink piggy? Yes, she did. Oh, the woman was so happy, so happy, so happy. But she never did say thank you to the fairy. Well, the fairy went east, the fairy went west. she came by the old woman's house. She thought she'd just, step in and see how she was doing, see if she was pleased. But as soon as she got to the window, what did she hear? Grumble, grumble, grumble. 'Tis a shame, 'tis a shame. I should not live in some poky little cottage. Oh, no. Not when there are other people who live in lovely brick houses on the edge of town. And when they look out their windows, they can see people going to and from market. Oh, I should live there. I should. And you know what? I'm tired of working as well. I want a little maid to do everything for me. 'Tis a shame. Well, the fairy was a bit disappointed. Well, she thought the old woman would be happy. And she said, "Don't you worry. Here's what we'll do. Before you go to bed tonight, turn around 1, 2, 3 times. And when you wake up, you'll see what you'll see." Well, the old woman listened to exactly what the fairy said, and she turned around 1. Do it with me. 2. 1 more. 3 times. And when she woke up, she was in the loveliest bed that had a pink comforter. And there was the window that she could look out of to see the people going to and from. And then she heard it. "Oh, please, Mum, may I give you a cup of tea?" She looked over, and there was the maid who was going to do all of her work. Oh, she was happy. She was happy. She was happy. But she never said thank you to the fairy. The fairy went east. The fairy went west. The fairy went north, and then she went south. One day, she was flying past the old woman's house, and she thought, I will go check in on her, see if she's pleased. So she flew down to the old lady's house, and oh, there it was again. And can you imagine what the old lady was grumbling about? "Oh, 'tis a shame, 'tis a shame. I should not live in a little red house like this on the edge of town. No, no, no. There are people who live in big white mansions that have men and women to take care of them, and a carriage that sits outside of their house with horses ready to take them anywhere. Oh, that's exactly where I should live, in the middle of town. 'Tis a shame." Well, the fairy, she was quite disappointed. She had hoped the old lady would be happy. But she said, "Don't you worry. Here's what we'll do. Before you go to bed tonight, turn around 1, 2, 3 times. And when you wake up, you'll see what you'll see." The old woman did exactly what the fairy said. Do it with me. She turned around 1 and 2, the 3 times. And when she woke up, she was in the most beautiful bed, white comforter across her. There were bedposts on the 4 corners, and on top of them there were brass knobs, and up above her was the most beautiful lace canopy you had ever seen. Oh, she had a maid to dress her. When she went down, she had a man bring her breakfast, and outside, she heard, "Nee!" Oh, she knew the carriage was there to take her anywhere she desired. She was happy, 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 happy. But she never said thank you to the fairy. Well, the fairy went east, the fairy went west, the fairy went north, the fairy went south. And she found herself in the old lady's neighborhood one day. And she decided she would go check in on her, see if she was pleased. So she flew down to the doorway of the big white mansion with the beautiful white stairs up to the door. And oh, can you imagine what she heard? The complaining, grumble, grumble, grumble. And what do you think that old lady was saying? "'Tis a shame, 'tis a shame. Look at the queen, oh, the queen, living in a big old palace with a gold throne to sit upon, a beautiful crown full of jewels upon her head, a gorgeous cape around her neck, and velvet carpet everywhere she walked, with a lady in waiting to do what she wanted. I should live in a palace, 'tis a shame." Whew. The fairy had hoped that she was pleased. But she said, "Don't you worry, here's what we'll do. Before you go to bed tonight, turn around 1, 2, 3 times, and when you wake up, you'll see what you'll see." So the old woman did just that. Do it with me. She turned around 1, 2, 3 times, and when she woke up, oh, she was speechless. It was the most beautiful bed she had ever seen. Oh, the red satin covers. And to the left, she had a crown of jewels waiting for her. And there was her lady in waiting. And there was the red velvet carpet all throughout the house. Oh my goodness. Well, she got dressed in the most regal clothing. And she put the crown on top of her head. And she walked on that velvet carpet until she reached the pure gold throne. Her lady in waiting put the cape around her neck, and the old woman sat down. Well, she was happy, 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 happy. But do you think she thanked the fairy? She did not. Well, the fairy went east, the fairy went west, the fairy went north, and then she went south. The fairy happened to be in the neighborhood one day of the palace. And she was going to check in to see if the old woman was pleased. She hoped that she would be happy. Well, as soon as she flew into the palace door, all the way up to the throne room, can you imagine what she heard? I know you can. Oh, the noise of complaining, grumble, grumble, grumble. And what do you think that old woman was saying? "'Tis a shame, 'tis a shame. Oh my goodness, this throne, this pure gold throne, is very hurtful on my bottom. And this crown, oh, it's so very inconvenient, it's too heavy for my head. And even though I am wearing my cape, there's a breeze somewhere just blowing down my neck and my body. This is the most inconvenient house. Why? Why can I not find a house that suits me? 'Tis a shame. Well. The fairy smiled and said, "Don't you worry. If you want a house that suits you, here's what's going to happen. Tonight, you'll go to bed. But before you do, you will turn around 1, 2, 3 times. And when you wake up, you'll see." The old woman did exactly what the fairy said. Oh, she was very excited. She turned around 1, 2, do the third one with me 3 times. And when she woke up, oh, she was back in the vinegar bottle. And she lived there for the rest of her life. The old woman who lived in a vinegar bottle. Now, boys and girls, that is why I said being kind is cool. Saying please, saying thank you, and asking for what you want in a kind and courteous manner. Not like grumble, grumble, grumble. Have a great day. Hey everyone, today's craft is a diorama. That is a really tough word, but it's a lot of fun. You make a model of a space, a part of the story, a part of my story that you liked. What you can do is when you're on your computer, you can Google diorama, diorama, diorama. My gosh, I'm sorry. This is really bad. I should know how to spell it. But you can make a diorama of anything, and it'll be a really great school project if you want to do that as well. My diorama, I decided to do the first house that the old lady lived in. Here's the little yellow cottage. Here are her roses. Here is her honeysuckle. Now here is the piggy. And the piggy, well, can you tell? He's a little brown. He's been rolling in the mud. That's what the piggy's been doing. And there's the flower garden, and here is the vegetable garden. Now, what I have as the base here is a piece of a cardboard box. And what I made the grass out of is construction paper, along with the house. This little piggy was made by a good friend of mine. And these flowers here, and this here, and these here, and this vegetable garden here, that was all from real flowers. And then the rest of the vegetables here are from construction paper. Now, if you want, you can make a piggy out of Play-Doh or anything you'd like. You could go out and find the flowers in nature or vegetables and, like make your own tiny little vegetables out of clay or Play-Doh. You can choose to make the fairy. You can make a fairy out of Play-Doh or molding clay, or you could make her out of construction paper. Anything that you can find in your house, bottle caps or pipe cleaners or push pins or paper clips, anything that you can dream up, You can make the most interesting looking pig or fairy or old woman, or you could just build one of her houses. She had the cottage, or she had the red brick, or she had the white mansion, and you could make the horse and carriage, or she had the palace when she was the queen. Oh my goodness, there are so many different things to choose from, or you could make each and every house I described. You could do the beds, you could do the curtains. Oh, I forgot to show you. See, in the yellow house, here is the pink curtain. I had so much fun with you today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day.